McKee, West Rucker, Go Vols 24/7 here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium following Tennessee's 22-9 nearly 4-hour midweek baseball game. Nearly 4 hours and played all in 7 innings. Tennessee hits 3 more grand slams. They've now hit 7 on the season. It was a bit of a rocky start for Tennessee, a couple of errors in the field. The pitching staff was not necessarily able to record as many outs as I'm sure that they would like before Dylan Lloyd came in and pitched a masterpiece to end the game on the pitching side. We'll certainly get to D-Lloyd. I guess the thought for me tonight is maybe a little bit of sleepwalking there in the early innings coming out after a big weekend, traveling. They got back late Sunday night, quick turnaround. Windy, doesn't feel super great. So not the best of starts, but as Tony Vitello said, it's all about your last impression, and the last impression was an exclamation point.
Yeah, I mean, all's well that ends well to a certain extent. I mean, I think we all know what the standards of this program are, but baseball, it's also a game where at times I think you see what Tennessee's done on the mound for years now, and you kind of take it for granted that they're going to go out there and just shut everybody down all the time. But baseball, the other team gets aluminum bats. And so baseball, you're only as good as your next pitcher on the mound. And so you get a couple hits to start a game, then you got some traffic, then a walk, bases loaded, start kicking the ball around a little bit. That's baseball. I mean, it's not anything. If it happened routinely, I would say that's a problem. But, in the context of where things were over the weekend, what they've been this season, starting a freshman pitcher for the first time ever, I don't think there's any super concerning things about it. I just think they didn't get off to a great start, and then they, still just didn't pitch the way they wanted to, but, they got it done.
Yeah, and I would say the maybe concerning thing to bring up is Dean Curley in the field with some of his throws. It almost seems like he has a bit of the yips at this point, but I'm not going to totally plant the red flag just yet. I mean, he was on the middle of the infield on a national championship team, as Tony pointed out to me when I asked about it, and he was really good last year, so I'm sure Dean Curley would be fine. But aside from that, I mean, you had pitchers pitching who are certainly capable, but they are trying to crack the rotation. They're not, I don't know that they're in the top 8, top 10 of the totem pole of trust, and you did bring in somebody within the circle of trust, and Dylan Lloyd, he was phenomenal, and I don't think that Radford had a base runner after you went to somebody that's going to be a regular within your pitching staff, and so it was kind of the defense was the big question for me tonight, or the thing that made me raise my eyebrow. The offense was fine all game long, and the pitching, once you got 2 guys within your circle of trust, was fine as well. It was the defense that was a little shaky for me.
Yeah, and what's funny is in the middle of all that, Ensley makes another ridiculous play, face planting into the wall, with the game in doubt at that point. It's easy to say now that, it's no big deal.
If he doesn't make that catch, Radford scores on the play.
Yeah, and so, I mean,
to take the lead.
That was a big play. And with Curley, I mean, I agree. I would not plant the flag and say this is a problem because, again, we forget these are not robots, and sometimes any human, you come up a little short on a throw, the ball gets hit to you again, your depth perception's off, your confidence is off, and it happens, man. I mean, it's not. Yeah, he's not a guy you take out of the lineup, just period. His on-base percentage is .550. He's a first-round draft pick. He's probably a third baseman at the next level, but still, he's good enough there. And when you have Keelan, you have Antigua, you have other guys. Yeah, I mean, you can ask some questions, but then again, are you moving Fisher off third? What are you going to do there? I mean, they're good problems to have, but they are problems, and it's just simpler for Tennessee if Curley can handle shortstop. But it's the most important defensive position on the field, and if it continues, then you got to think about something. But right now, it's just kind of this needs to get fixed.
Yeah, more of in a slump, like he would be at the plate of sorts. And kudos to Dean. I mean, he makes one error in the first inning when he had the slow roller kind of behind the mound and threw it a little too hard at Levi and at first base and threw it into the ground as well. It was a throwing error, and then he responds in the bottom of the first with a solo home run right away that he absolutely destroyed the pitch. Yeah. So that would be my only negative from tonight, really. The offense, though, was I mean, it was ridiculous. It was Tennessee baseball doing Tennessee baseball things.
Yeah, it was. And the last thing I'd say about the defense really quickly is that those throws are throws that need to be better, but also I would think, especially on the turf, you would think that first baseman would make some of those picks. And there was a really nice one Clark made later in the game. And so, but on the turf especially, I think you're seeing now how good Lipsius was, how good Blake Burke was. They save you a lot of runs over there throughout the course of the season. Like, people think just put a donkey over there and you can catch the ball. It's not that. You got to go over there, and right now they're shuffling some things, so they're kind of moving guys first here and there, and they'll get it settled. But, I think those are picks that later in the season you're going to want to be making. But offensively, yeah, I mean, just the quality of the at-bats they give you. I mean, the thing about grand slams, Ben, is, and I'm glad Tony said this because of course he would, he's smarter than us, but you got to get on base to have grand slams. You got to get 3 guys on base, and they just, no matter what the score is, they're up by 10, they're down by 10, they give you a good at-bat when they step in the box. They do not swing at bad pitches. They do not expand the zone unless there's 2 strikes. They don't give in. They don't give you anything easy. And if you throw them balls, they'll watch them, they'll set their bat down, and they'll go to first. And especially at this level, that's a thing where you can win a lot of games doing that.
Yep, 3 grand slams tonight. Andrew Fisher, Reese Chapman, and Blake Grimmer to walk it off, courtesy of the run rule. Andrew Fisher had 2 home runs. He's starting to really heat up, and he said he hasn't changed anything. The ball's just kind of flying the way the luck has been on his side of late. He hasn't changed anything, and the results are starting to follow suit. Just baseball being baseball. Tennessee will be back in action tomorrow night against Xavier, which should be a fun midweek game, a pretty competitive midweek game. Xavier has a nice program up in the Cincinnati area, and they'll be here tomorrow before they go play Vanderbilt this weekend. So busy night tomorrow night yet again of Tennessee athletics, Tennessee baseball in action, and then of course Tennessee basketball at Ole Miss, and we'll have all the coverage you need at GoVols247.com. He's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.